Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Money in the Bank. But before we get into that, let's get the house cleaning out of the way. Sorry, I'm to leave a like. Comment below, let me know your thoughts on Money in the Bank, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, shall we? So, Money in the Bank is now officially behind us, and I do feel like now WWE is starting to turn a new leaf, because I do think this show overall was really good. It over-delivered in a lot of ways, to be honest with you, especially when we got to the main event. But we'll kick off. We'll go in order like we always do when we do reviews of the PLEs. But man, there's just a lot of talk into, because the build up to Money in the Bank just wasn't all there, right? Like, there was even a couple shows that I just didn't really care to cover that much, because again, it's very clear that Money in the Bank is used to help build up SummerSlam. Backlash was used to help build up SummerSlam, which is fine. It is fine, especially with these quick turnarounds, 3 weeks. But if you really want your PLEs to have some jeopardy within them, you got to have these title matches, especially within the mid card, to have stakes where you do feel like, hey, this person could win, or hey, the obvious person to win this is this person, so maybe let's do a little swerve and go another route here. And we'll go more into that as we progress into the review. But the women's Money in the Bank ladder match was one of the rare occasions where hey, the most obvious person that should win is this, and the obvious person should win this. And I do believe Naomi was the right decision to go, and I do feel like she was pretty obvious to win it as well. She's been on one of the best runs of her life, of her whole entire career, really. I think you can even throw TNA into that mix as well. Her character work is absolutely stellar within this, and she absolutely deserves this briefcase, especially after everything that she has gone through. Rhea Ripley was a fan favorite, but she's been a world champion before. She'll be a world champion again. She doesn't need the briefcase in order to get a world title shot. I assume she'll be in Queen of the Ring. I think she'll get her title shot before that. I don't see her winning Queen of the Ring. Maybe she gets to the semis. Maybe she doesn't, since we're doing Raw versus SmackDown there in the second round. But, Rhea Ripley just didn't necessarily need it. Roxanne has many of opportunities to get to that point. She was my second pick to do it. Julia is clearly going after the U.S. title, so we can mark her out. Stephanie just got there. Alexa is still really finding her footing. Maybe she goes to the tag division with Nikki Cross. And, that's how, you're able to go, okay, well, if you take all that out, the person who should clearly win is Naomi. And therefore she did. Fun match overall. Really liked the spot with Rhea Ripley and Stephanie Bakir on the ladder when they did the Devil's Kiss. That was pretty cool. That was pretty innovative. I was holding on to my breath, because I really was like, I hope this ladder is sturdy enough throughout all of it. I like the tag teaming that Julia and Roxanne were doing, even though they're not a team anymore, but they have that history there. We did that for a couple of weeks. But yeah, Naomi winning the briefcase, I have no problems within it. I really, really enjoyed the ladder match. I think I liked the women's ladder match a little bit more than the men's ladder match, but we'll get more into that when we do get to the men's ladder match, because my biggest problem with the men's ladder match really is towards the end on what we did. But yeah, the women's ladder match was really good. Naomi deserves it. I think she should cash in on Tiffany Stratton, and I think, depending on if Bianca's cleared or not, because to me, the Bianca, Naomi, and Jade story is the best story of all of women's wrestling. Not even just women's wrestling, just wrestling in general, men or women storyline. And, Evolution, depending on if Bianca's cleared, if she cashes in on Tiffany Stratton, she wins the title. I wouldn't mind those three closing out the show. Hell, that triple threat doesn't need a title to main event by any means necessary, but a title probably should close out the show. So those three fighting for the WWE Women's title, plus the beef that's there, I think there's a lot of fun to be had within that. So I am hoping for that outcome, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we wait for that triple threat for SummerSlam as well, because again, there is just a lot of meat and bone there. It all depends on when Bianca is cleared, because you don't want it to overstay its welcome. But really happy for Naomi to win. Really happy to see where this is going moving forward. It does look like now all these title feuds could have some actual, stakes within them, which cannot go the same for our second match on the card. Hopefully it starts to get more beefy moving forward, of Dominic Mysterio versus Octagon Jr. Now, Worlds Collide was an amazing show. I had a hell of a lot of fun with it. I want a Mr. Iguana shirt right now. And it was happy to see him in the crowd as well, and that everyone popped for him. He's great. Great character. He might mess around and he might find himself on the main roster and being one of the standouts within the show. Absolutely loved Mr. Iguana. I liked Octagon Jr. as well. But first of all, it was an impromptu match between Dominic and Octagon Jr. But it was also very clear, hey, we are waiting to do Dominic versus Finn Balor. Now, will that be for the title? I don't know. Maybe AJ can take the title and Dom and Finn can just go on their own way because it doesn't necessarily need it. There's enough history there. You can do some mixed tags with Roxanne and Finn versus Liv and Dom because it does look like Liv is not upset with Dom by any means. But yeah, you have that feud. So clearly we're waiting until that really kicks off to really dig into it a little bit deeper. And as I'm watching, I'm just like, well, Octagon's not going to take the title because one, granted, they're all under the same umbrella. Yes, AAA and WWE, they're all technically WWE superstars. They weren't going to have a AAA wrestler take the Intercontinental title, let alone from Dominic Mysterio, but also to take the IC title, one of the most coveted titles, to AAA. They're going to let the US title go to AAA before they let the IC title go to AAA. You know what I mean? Now, do I think there will be some inter-promotion title changes throughout? Sure, but I think it will be a AAA person or people taking AAA titles to WWE before they let a WWE title go to AAA. You know what I mean? So there was no stakes within the match. Fun match. Don't get me wrong. I had a good time with it. It did look like they let them do that AAA style for a little bit. It wasn't your traditional WWE match to me personally. But yeah, there was just no stakes within it. I knew at some point Dominic was going to win. Liv got involved. Whoop, bombs your uncle. There you go. And now we just wait until Judgment Day breaks up properly, right? So that's the only thing when it comes to this IC title. I'm happy Dom has the belt. I think there's a lot of stuff there. But this is just my problem with WWE overall, which is a good problem to have, is that I just know where they're going. And I just know nothing of significance is really going to happen until this program happens. So, within that middle, it's just really hard to fully invest. And you can say that with all the PLEs as well. And especially when we get to the main event where it's just a footnote in the story. It's just filler. You can really skip this whole Money in the Bank arc until, maybe this Monday, because I do think a lot of things are starting to kick off. But yeah, this match, you could just skip. You could have gone to the bathroom. It would have been just fine. You would have missed absolutely nothing. There was no Finn tease. There was no nothing. It was just a match for the sake of a match. And I just don't know if you can necessarily have that on a PLE, to me personally. But you cannot say that for the third match, the women's IC title, Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. And, this is what I'm talking about. This is what these Money in the Bank PLEs, these backlashes, these Saturday Night's Main Event need. And that is just, a little bit more stakes. And, where you can really have that doubt going, hey, the title could change hands here. Backlash, we had that. Yeah, Becky should probably win the title. Now we have Money in the Bank. Okay, yeah, Becky should probably win the title. In a lot of ways, you could say it became clear when they said Becky would never challenge for the IC title again if she lost. But, hey, there was still that stakes, that hope, that non-hope, if you will. Crowd was loud throughout the whole entire match. It was a very, very good match. Becky wins by cheating, by holding up the tights, forcing her to raise her hand and go all four corners, and then Lyra beats her up with the German suplex. Kind of wish Lyra would have beat her up a little bit more. But hey, the feud now continues. I assume at Evolution is another triple threat as well, with Bayley being involved, and then we can do the proper final chapter at SummerSlam, because I don't know how many matches we're going to do at Night of Champions, because we already got a Queen of the Ring finals, King of the Ring finals. John Cena is advertiser. He's going to defend his belt. That's 3. 2 more. What more could we do at that show? I don't know. And, especially with being a Saudi, will they do 2 women's matches? We'll see for sure. And, Roman's supposedly supposed to be back pretty soon, so maybe he's going to have a match. I don't know. We'll see as we progress within this. But yeah, I do think Bayley's about to return. I think there's a purpose as to why we stopped mentioning her, is because she's about to get a big pop maybe at Monday. I thought she would return here at Money in the Bank after, she beats Lyra, and we could just set that up. We could do the triple threat, then Bayley can go on her own way after that. Proper final chapter, a one-on-one match at SummerSlam. But yeah, it was a good match. It was actual stakes to it. I could actually invest into it. Becky gets the win. I think that was the right call, as long as Lyra gets it back later on. Or you send Lyra straight to the main event as well. I wouldn't mind a Lyra versus Io feud, because again, Io's just kind of hanging out, waiting for Rhea Ripley to become available. At this point, it's what it feels like. But yeah, it was a good match. There was actual stakes to it. I could actually invest and dig my teeth into it, which I could not fully do with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, because again, I think it was very clear that Seth Rollins was going to win. They kept hammering that over and over again. And I just think, yeah, we probably should have taken a chance here. I know everyone wanted LA Knight to win. I honestly was kind of wanting the chaos of El Grande Americano to win, especially after the big spot on the Fireball ladder. Which, okay, the Slim Jim table, fine, whatever. The Fireball ladder, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's starting to get a little bit much. Just wait till they put something on the chair. The V8 chair. If we were allowed to hit him on the head still with the chair, that could have been, a good gag, give him a V8. But hey, it is what it is. But, when he went from one ladder to a ladder, onto the Fireball ladder, and then Klein did the headbutt, and then that whole spot with, I think it was LA Knight who did the neck breaker off of it. We actually had a little bit of party at my place. And someone was like, he's dead. Like, someone who doesn't watch wrestling, he was like, he's dead. There's no way he's alive. He's dead. So that good spot there. But then, we get into the whole funky business with, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed coming out, right? Which honestly I didn't fully mind, because that is the whole point of their group. But we already had a distraction in the Dom versus Octagon Jr. match, right? That was one. Then we kind of did it, she cheated with holding the tights, Becky Lynch. And then we were here with this spot. Now, it kind of picks up again when Jacob and JC come out, which I was very questionable as to why was Jacob agreeing to at least help and get beat up a little bit before turning on Solo. They even out the odds. I'm not sure how everyone got disappeared, because JC Mateo, I believe, got thrown through the table. And then, I don't know where did Braun Breaker go, but then Jacob took care of Bronson Reed. So I'm not sure how both of them went away. I'm kind of fuzzy on that. But then Solo, who stole the show for me on this ladder, I was absolutely crying throughout his whole mannerisms. First, he didn't help out with the jumping of Seth Rollins. That was very funny. And then, he was trying to reason with everyone by doing their emotes. Did all that. That was very funny as well. Had the funniest facial expressions throughout. I don't get at why everyone hates Solo. I love the guy. He just cracks me up with everything that he is doing. He was so happy and everything. And then you get the I hate you Solo, beats him up, throws him through the ladder, and he walks away. And then Seth comes out. We do a quick tease with LA Knight, because that's what everyone wanted, only for Seth Rollins to just easily climb up and get it. Now, again, Seth Rollins winning doesn't really upset me that much. Again, I just really want some more unpredictability within it, within the briefcase. It really doesn't bother me that he's a former world champion holding the briefcase, especially because I think he's not going to hold it that long. He's going to cash it in on Monday. But my problem was, you saw the two people come out. On Monday, Sami Zayn and CM Punk make it very clear, Seth Rollins cannot win the briefcase. Why weren't they there? I know you run the risk that of the distractions become parody. Absolutely. But they made it very clear that they are going to do everything that they can to make sure that Seth Rollins doesn't win that briefcase. And sure, they could wait. Hey, there's 5 other bodies. Let's hope for the best. As soon as you see Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker come out, it should have been those two, not Jacob and JC. You probably could have saved the Jacob breakup angle with Solo Sikoa on Friday. You just didn't need it here. It should have been Punk coming out, even out the odds, and then Rollins was able to climb up. And then, or Roman should have came out because they made a big point to talk about him on Friday as well. It was just one of those things. I was just like, I think we overcooked the pudding here a little bit. We want to do a breakup angle, and we wanted Seth Rollins to win. And also the tease with LA Knight just kind of pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why we teased them to come out and have this last spark only for Seth Rollins to still climb up and get it. But hey, it is what it is. Again, it doesn't upset me that much. I just want some more unpredictability. And he'll cash in Monday. He's not going to hold the briefcase long. He's going to cash in Monday. He'll win the belt that way. And then, we move on. And then I don't know if Roman Reigns is going to be in King of the Ring. But I do think Roman Reigns also returns Monday as well. I think Monday we're in for a really big show. I think there's John Cena is going to be on it. We have that world title match. I think we have a cash in on hand. And then we also, Nikki Bella's returning as well. The King and the Queen of the Ring tournament are beginning. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a really fun show there. But yeah, it's just, to me, the finish really overthought the pudding because I just don't think Jacob and JC were needed. We could have saved that breakup for Friday. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, for that reason alone, that's why I prefer the women's ladder match over the men's, just because, again, the ending to me was just over convoluted. Punk and Sami should have been there. But for our main event, which really over-delivered, John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. A lot of fun. I like all the mix-up. I like how John was like, I want to be in. No, I don't want to be in. I want to be in. No, I don't want to be in. John and Logan having a little scuffle towards the end. Love the spot with the drone on the superplex. That was very cool to see, that whole flip. That was very creative. I'll give Logan that. The moonsault onto the table. And then, of course, the main thing that we want to talk about that really capped off this whole entire match and this whole PLE into a nice little ribbon is R-Truth returning to attack John Cena. Now he's going by Ron Killings. Is R-Truth or Ron versus Cena at Night of Champions the way to go? Because you have to save off Cody until SummerSlam, right? So does Cody go into King of the Ring still? Because he pinned Cena. He can definitely bypass and go straight to it. And we use, both. And we use the King of the Ring for the World Heavyweight Champion. Or do you have Cody win and you just make the winner pretty obvious that Cody is going to win the King of the Ring? I think that's the route you go, and maybe you do Cena versus Truth properly one last time where Cena can actually go back and forth with him and Truth can actually be very serious, which is probably something he's been really wanting to do, and it is confirmed that it is his last run. So yeah, give him one last big program with John Cena, with the belt on the line, really tie this up nicely. But yeah, again, the only problem is that this was, again, used as a footnote for the next story. Jey Uso, his world title reign ends Monday, which that I don't have a problem with because I do think we do need to mix up the title reigns quite a bit. I don't think everyone needs to go on for a year and hold the belt for a really long time. You just need some more, like I said, I've been saying this whole entire review, and I will be saying on the Raw and SmackDown reviews moving forward, we just need more jeopardy within our shows. There's a lot of safeness, and we just know, okay, yeah, this person's going to get an opportunity here. They'll go for a good 20 minutes, but they're not going to win, and sure enough, they won't. But yeah, again, overall, Money in the Bank was a really good show. I had a really, really good time with it. I had a lot of fun. It was a good weekend between both Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. I think both shows over-delivered in a lot of ways, to be honest with you. And I'm excited for Monday. I haven't had that feeling in maybe quite some time. I can go back to some reviews and be like, okay, yeah, we're almost to Survivor Series. WWE's going to have the focus back, and it's going to be great. Okay, all right, well, we have to build up to Mania. We don't have a pay-per-view for December. But, man, once we get to the Rumble, yeah, the focus is there. Man, I guess it's just been a really long road to WrestleMania. It's just not fully there. Mania was good. Okay, now they used Mania as a season opener, as a season closer. We are back. Man, it's just not really there. Just like the motivation. They're just really coasting. These shows, we have all these different events going on and on and on. What is happening? Now, after Money in the Bank, I do have that feeling of, okay, and it's not me trying to force it. Like, it generally does feel like, okay, there's a clear focus. Cena and Rhodes obviously is going to close out SummerSlam. Cena is going to see the light. They are teasing it way too hard for him not to do it. And he does have to be a good guy by the time we get to December, right? Okay, R-Truth is back. He's going to have a much more serious character. Not really sure what Logan does. The World Heavyweight title reign of Jey Uso ends. Naomi goes on. She's going to win the title. So that way Bianca and Jade and her story can have the main title on the line. And then I could go on and on and on and on. It's just starting to become much more clear. And it does feel like it's time to really pull the trigger on a lot of these stories. It does look like Solo and Jacob, they'll have their match at Night of Champions, and then the SummerSlam match is Jacob versus Damian, which is fine. Those are two big names, and again, SummerSlam needs to feel like WrestleMania this year. In a lot of ways, I would argue SummerSlam needs to feel bigger than WrestleMania did, since it is the first two-night SummerSlam. But yeah, it's just starting to feel more clear. We have more bullets that have been, more triggers that have been pulled. Now we just need Dominic's and Finn's trigger to be pulled as well. Hopefully Judgment Day just break up very soon within the next couple weeks, because it has run its course. But let me know what y'all think of Money in the Bank. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Do you have more problems with it? Comment below, let me know. Leave a like if you made it this far within a review. I do greatly appreciate it. And again, hit that subscribe button, as I am trying to grow into my YouTube career. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.